everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower. This is live Q&A. It is April 18th, 2016. And I'll be taking your questions live. If you are here for the first time, you'll want to know how we do this. In the description of the video, there is a link to another website called Q&A, and I'll be taking questions from there for about the first half of the live Q&A. And then for the rest of it, I'll be taking them from the comments from YouTube, starting at that point in time. So, anyhow, I will not answer every question. I cannot promise which ones I answer and will answer, but we'll try to keep it moving and entertaining. I would like to thank you guys. We did a lot of live streaming last week. We learned some things. Even now, I hope that I was working with Derek today, and he was showing me some things about the microphone. So hopefully the mics will get better from here on out, at least. So I'm kind of excited to see where the future leads. I had a lot of fun recording Board Game Breakfast this week because I did it in and around the Niagara Falls area, which was just a beautiful place, and that was a lot of fun. So anyhow, we're going to get started with the questions, so here we go. Would you pay more for a board game or buy one board game over another if it advertised that the production process met some sort of environmental standards like using recycled cardboard, similar to the Energy Star certifications for computers? The answer to that is pretty simple, and the fact is I don't know. I don't think I would choose one over another one. I don't know that I would want to pay more. I really don't know in that instance. I'm going to say I applaud if it's like made from recycled paper, I guess, but I don't know that I would go out of my way to do it. I'm just being straightforward. Oh, that's that. Concerning female characters in board games, as I talked about this morning at Board Game Breakfast, what do you think about the roles often assigned to women? Like they usually become the medic healer in a game versus roles they do not get often, like the tank. Well, I don't know. I mean, granted, it does seem like in fantasy games in particular, the female is the priestess or the healer. But not always, though. There's like the female barbarian, too. You don't often see a female paladin, although I think it's becoming more prevalent anyway, seeing the different mixing of roles. I don't really think about it, and I wouldn't get too fine on a comb about this role's a female role, this role's a male role. Again, like I said, my favorite games are the ones where the role can be either person, so what does it matter? Maybe if it's the, hey, I need to be rescued by other people, that's more problematic maybe, but I wouldn't get too caught up because really you can start splitting hairs about everything. And I believe the medic in Pandemic is a female, but I would argue that the medic is an extremely important person in Pandemic. Although for the life of me, I can't remember if they're male or female at this point. Maybe they're male. I'm very confused. But I just know that there's a some differentiation between the genders there. Someone referred, or Dan King, maybe, I don't know who it was, they say, referred to the dark underbelly of gaming. What person, game, genre, habit would you consider to be the dark underbelly of gaming? Well, the people who, I think part of the dark underbelly of gaming are the people who don't want other people to join gaming, whether deliberately or non-deliberately, just their way of that you think of that smoky back room where people are sitting there and they look at you when you come in. Why are you wanting to game? To me, that's the dark underbelly of gaming. How did you and Stephen Bonacker become frenemies? Or whatever the term is for the combative friendship we have. I don't know. Let's see. I know that I met him for the first time at Origin several years ago, where he wanted to have a booth for Stronghold, and we had a booth, and he was like, hey, let's go in together. Let's be next to each other at Origins. Because I was doing it with some guys who were going to make, it was Clever Mojo Games, Alien Frontiers, and then a company that was making Alien Frontiers for the computer, which never really panned out. And then Stronghold Games, and then the Dice Tower, where we were promoting the Dice Tower a little bit, but we were really promoting the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund. It was a great Origins. That's probably one of my favorite game conventions I've ever been to. And I just started getting along with Bonacorn. He was one of those guys I could razz. Found it out pretty quickly. He razzed me back. We've just been doing it ever since. If it's not clear, that's very just for show type things. at almost every convention, we get together and do something like a lunch or something because we really are friends. Okay, do you see any trends or in mechanisms or themes for this year? Mars related seems big. Anything else? Well, there's certainly Mars. Vikings is certainly coming to the forefront. For trends, I mean, we're seeing more of this legacy thing coming forward. I saw okay, just let me say that I think you'll see more legacy than you expected to see as time goes by. That's all I can say there in that regard. I don't want to give away anything in that, but I think legacy's big. Or in the games that maybe not a whole lot of games doing it, but the games that are doing it are going to get a lot of shrift. I would like to see. Well, you're not asking what I'd like to see. So that's what I'm thinking for now. We'll know more as I can look at the Essen and the Gen Con lists as time gets closer. Okay, let's see here. What was the most overlooked game of 2015? I'm going to, off the cuff, say Automania. Automania is a great game. I played it again this past week. Just really have fun. Taught it to some people. I just love that game, and I would like to see that one doing more. Do you think doing the Every Game is Awesome videos with Jason will lead to you enjoying that style of game more than you already do when you revisit the older games? Had you forgotten how much you liked any of them? Okay, first part, no, I don't think it would make me like those games more than I already do because I'm already playing those style of games. You're just seeing me do the reviews with Jason than by myself. Have I forgotten how much I like some of the other games? Yes, that has happened. Sometimes I look and say, oh yeah, man, I really like the game. Although sometimes I look at the game and go, that was fun, but it's kind of now in the background. We're not talking about that as much these days. After the gathering of friends, do you think this year might compare to last year as far as quality of games and innovation? I'm really at the point now where I think every year is going to meet the same quality or exceed it because quality just keeps getting better and better. Artwork is amazing. For example, I saw the sequel to Tides of Time. It's a Cthulhu-based Tides of Time to some degree. It's really fun. I liked it better than Tides of Time because you can go insane. But the artwork in it is just phenomenal, and we're expecting to see phenomenal artwork and components all the time now. But innovation, well, that I think is just going to vary from year to year. Will we see innovation this year? I don't know. Maybe. I haven't yet seen a game that's blown my socks off innovation-wise, but you never know when that might come. Innovation's a tough category to do. A lot of games have been replaced by other games. Do you have books or movies that were replaced by others? Huh. I've never really thought about that. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. Books or movies? I don't know because, I mean, a book... See, a game that replaces another game means I want to play this game, but I'd rather play this one. A movie, I don't rewatch movies that very often. I watch them often, occasionally, but so I don't know that movies would ever replace them. Same thing with books. I don't know. How many games do you think you've played at least 100 times? Well, if you include my childhood, then you're going to add another 30 games, right? Because we played the same games over and over again. If we're just talking about my gaming career, I don't know. You always think you play a game more than you do if you don't keep track of it. So, I'll be like, oh, I must have played that one 50 times, and I might have played it 12. So I'll say 5. I'm not even sure I played Cosmic Encounter 100 times. I simply don't know. Let's see. Do you prefer designers who do similar types of games and do well at them, or ones that try new things and have a greater range? I don't have a preference there one way or the other. I'm impressed by people who have the range, but I don't hold the people who do one thing well and stick with that thing either. So, I love the Alphabet series. What letter do you think has the best games? Well, C is a pretty strong contender, right? B is also a pretty strong contender. B and C. Maybe S? I haven't gone through all the letters yet. I've only gone for as of me making lists so far, I've stopped at O. I need to get around to making P and Q. Q would be an interesting one. Do you even think there is 10 games I can put on my queue? We'll have to wait and see. All right. What aspects of a game's physical design do you think should have an industry-wide standard, and what should the standard be? Ticket to Ride, box size, a specific size of card, what? That's a great question. I really think there should be standard boxes. There's no way you can enforce that. There's no way anyone's ever going to listen to me, but I think there should be. I think the Ticket to Ride size box should be one size box. There should be two of them. The regular size and then the deep, I don't know, you guys can't see that high. The Ticket to Ride size box and then a deeper one, a thicker one for like games that need more components. As you can see here right behind me, Seasons Coliseum Troubles, Zularetto. I like the size box, but these are all slightly different boxes. That drives me crazy. The second standard size box would be this box here. This is like the St. Petersburg Carcassonne box. I like this one. It's a nice size. It fits on shelves well. Looks good on the shelf. Then I would pick a smaller box game. I really like. I like this size here from Yellow. This one I would use for small card games. I would not go smaller than this because I like a box. And then maybe I might pick one more, like a small card box game. I'm trying to think of a game that has that box size that I like in that regard. But that's just me, and those are my preferences for boxes, right? Not everyone is going to have that same preference, although I do think a lot of people like these square boxes, and if you notice, most of the games I keep are those because they're good games coming in. For cards, I don't really care. You can do any card you want, because why would the cards in one game need to match the cards in another game? I know what the answer is. Sleeving, right? You don't want to have to buy different cards. It's sleeves all the time. Since I don't sleeve, I don't care. All right. Don't forget, if you're asking questions, to click the link in the video, and I'll do those there. Some questions I'm going to not answer, and that's just the way it goes. Do you... Dark Souls, the board game excitement level, 0, if only because I have never played Dark Souls, a video game, so I have nothing to go on after, too. Let's see here. I'm not going to answer... All right, let's find some good questions here. What do you think of the Mensa Select Awards? That's an interesting thing. I think they're good. I don't agree with the methodology to doing them. They bring a bunch of people in who are Mensa, and I'm not really sure on the whole Mensa thing to begin with. I've often debated whether I would try to see if I was smart enough to be in Mensa, take the tests and all. I took the practice test, and I like barely qualified on that, and I said, I wonder if I had the real one. But do I really want to do that, be part of a group where basically we're saying we're smarter than everyone else? And I understand. But that's not exactly what Mensa is, and Mensa people have talked to me before and say, we just like to hang out with people who have like similar interests, and I understand that. However, for people who are supposedly on an intellectual plane that are higher than the rest of us, it does seem odd that then they pick games that are not. The games that they've picked in the last several years are very good games, but their process, where you put the game in and people play it, and then they go to the next game and they play that, and they just jump from game to game to game to game. That's only going to favor a very specific type of game, a short game that's easy to understand pretty quick and leaves a lasting impression. And again, that's a good category, and they've done a good job picking those games. It's just that I don't know that those games are best of the year. But I don't think they call it, they just call it Mensa Select. And that's fine. It works, the award. And it actually brings out a different category of games than you often see in other awards. So I don't have any problem with it loudly. I guess I just would say that it just seems some of the aspects of it seem odd. I don't like that whole 42-hour, the people who show up are the people who can vote. But again, I'm not that opposed to it either. The Mensa Select Awards. How curious, interested are you about Scythe? Any very, very early impressions from a distance? Well, the first half, I'm very interested in it. Although I am figuring that it will not get the game until July. So this is April, May, June. Yeah, it's gonna be months before I get it. So any early impressions? No, because I'm really trying these days. I kind of look at a game and go, ooh, that looks neat, and then that's it. I'm done. Because I want to feel the full experience when I open the box and get that, and that way I can give you guys my straight up impressions. And then, because if I look at a game and I'm like, oh, that game looks great, 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 great. Well, it's gonna be great, 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 and then I get it, and it's not. That hype will make me give it a more negative review than I should. Same thing if I look and go, oh, it's not good, and I keep doing that over and over. All right, finally, let's play this thing. It may, those early impressions, I don't want them to sway my views that much. Any hints for what games you may be reviewing over the next couple weeks? Okay. Well, I know my board game breakfast, I said I didn't know what I was reviewing, but now it's a little bit more focused. I plan to, me and Jason are going to be taking a look at Mombasa. I'm going to be taking a look at Animals on Board from Stronghold Games, Greedy Greedy Goblins from AEG, Bastion from Hobby World, Take a Train, Happy Salmon, Jurassic Attack, Titus Tentacle. That's stuff that you'll be seeing this week. Next week, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Back to the Future, Spheres of Influence, and Valeria, or Valeria, I'm not sure how to pronounce that one actually, and a few other games in that genre. We'll see, but the things can always change too, because as I play games, sometimes I'll be like, ooh, that game's moving to the front of the queue for review, for whatever reason. But that gives you some hints anyway, which is what you asked. What gaming trend are you glad died off? Well, what gaming trend died off? I'm trying to think of a gaming trend that did die off. I mean, they died down. I don't know that they die off. I'll have to think about that one. I don't have an answer off the top of my head. I apologize. Thoughts on a company launching a new version of a game soon after the first version came out, like culminating out with Rum and Bones Second Tide? I don't actually know. The new version of the game, maybe someone can tell me exactly what they mean by that. The Rum and Bones game that I have, the first edition, I guess, from last year, seems very fine, and I don't believe that them releasing this new version will invalidate the version that I currently have. I can't imagine that it would. I mean, will they show up in cars and beat my door down and take my game from me? They won't. Now, will the games be compatible? They usually do, that sort of thing. I mean, I guess I'm just not that worried about this sort of thing. Again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they said about it. I knew that they launched the new Kickstarter for Rum and Bones, but that's pretty much the extent of it. But you're put into a situation here as a company, right? So you make the game, people like it or they don't like it or whatever. And as a designer and as stuff, you can playtest your game a whole lot. And as you playtest your game a lot, you will find things, but when you publish the game, suddenly it's being playtested like never before by thousands of people. And things will turn up and you'll be like, oh, you know what, this could have been better. Oh, that's a great idea. So you come around with this and you're like, oh, we could make this better when we print it the second time. Well, what do you do there? Do you deliberately not make it better? Well, tough. We can't change it because that will mess over the people who got it first. Or do you change it, irritating all the people who got the first edition? You can say, get it right the first time. But come on now. Does anyone get it right perfect the first time? Sometimes, but it doesn't happen very often. So that is what I think about that. What games do you like playing with your daughters? Lots of them. What's the latest news in Dice Tower Cruise? I know that we are let's see, I know there's less than 40 rooms left. So if you are considering it, do not delay. I'm really excited about it because we're looking forward to this and the idea of being a cruise ship, and I'm working on some things. We're going to do game shows. We're going to But the best thing about the cruise ship really is that we can just play games together, right? Let's say 400 people come on this. The chance of those 4 days of me running into you and having a chance to eat dinner with you or to talk to you is higher. Now, it's not 100% guaranteed, but there's no way you won't be able to run into me, Z, Sam, or Jason, or anyone else from the Dice Tower. And you'll also be there with people who really want to play games and have a good, relaxing, fun time. And for those reasons, I'm excited. There might be other things too, but I like to keep some of these surprises up my sleeve. But I think you won't regret it. How's that? I really don't. Do you consider Kahuna a must-have for a 2-player collection? I don't know if I'd say it's a must-have, because that'd be very hypocritical since it's not in my collection. I really like it. I just only have so much space. In that category, the ones in my collection are Lost Cities, definitely. Heave-Ho, which Kahuna's a better game than Heave-Ho, but Heave-Ho just has a fun little game that works in some situation, which is how I get my game collection, right? I don't necessarily keep the best games. I keep the ones that I can play. Asante / Jumbo, of course. Babel, which is mean and nasty, but sometimes I'm just in the mood for that. Starship Catan, which is amazingly great. Seven Wonders Duel, oh, superb. Targi, oh man, what a great game. Thunder and Lightning, yeah, wow, amazing. Great games. That's a great list of 2-player games I mentioned, but that's all the room I have on my shelf. If I get another one of those great games in that size, Babel's probably the next one to go. Well, anyhow. Let's see. Other than the Dice Tower, what are your favorite board game related YouTube channels? I should put it in a fact sometime. I get asked this often enough. Honestly, I don't watch other channels that much. I will watch things occasionally. There's a new reviewer who I enjoy watching sometimes just to see the outfits he wears. It's maybe, I think. I've watched some of the episodes from Bored to Life. I've not watched all the new season, but I watched some of their new episodes. And I watch sometimes bits and pieces of the other reviewers. I especially like watching Q&As of other reviewers and different things. But for the most part, I just don't watch a lot of content. But I don't watch a lot of stuff, period, right? My favorite thing to watch on YouTube is the top 10 lists about anything. Top 10. Oh, I'm interested. I just like top 10 lists. So, what was the best game you played at the gathering of friends? Not counting the Munchkin CCG you already mentioned on your video. Well, I did like the Munchkin CCG a lot. I have to be honest, I really did like Animals on Board coming from Stronghold Game. I really thought that was a fun, clever little game. I don't think it's the best game I played at the gathering. Let's see. I'm still going to stick with the Munchkin CCG, maybe. That was a fun little game. I didn't play as much at the gathering as I've played in... Oh, no, wait. Okay, I'll say my favorite game I played at the gathering would be the new game from Pretzel Games. Trash Art. I'm going to look it up here because I'm having a hard time remembering what it's called. The first game, of course, is Flick 'em Up. And their next game is Junk Art. Junk Art. Wow. Junk Art. Super fun. Super fun game. It's a dexterity game. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, but it's a dexterity game that you can play in many different ways. Very impressed with it. You can watch our live Q&A with Jake Cormier and how he talked about. Well, actually, I think Jake Cormier talked about a different game. It might have been Sang Fung Lim who talked about that game. But anyway, they talked about how they picked the blocks and they tried to pick ones that had synergy with each other. They really did a good job. This is like when you play it, you're like, wow, this is a classic dexterity game. Just came out. It feels classic. Highly recommend it. Pretzel is now 2 for 2 with me. Very, very impressed with that. Fantastic. Okay. Remember, if you're coming in for the first time, if you have questions, there's a link in the video. So, best game of the Doctor Who theme? I don't believe there is one right now. Have you ever attempted painting miniatures? Yes. When I first got into Warhammer 40K, I put the models together. I thought it would be fun to do, right? Put models together. I put models together as a kid. Found that I wasn't as big of a fan of it as much as, you know, especially with some of the models. You had the pewter models. They had to hold them, to put them together. You had to sometimes use green stuff to make sure they fit together. And I got my army put together. I took it in, like, if you want to play in these official tournaments, you must have at least 3 colors. Like, well, I'm not really good at painting. I don't really know how to do it. So I had an Eldar army, and I wanted it to be brightly colored because if you notice, I might like bright colors some. So I was like, all right, you need to put a base coat on. I know that. Okay, so I got red. I spray painted the army red. Sam still makes fun of it to this day, but I'm still not upset about that. I thought it was fine having a red background. And then I painted them up with different bright colors. And at the time, my wife wasn't working. And by wasn't working, I mean, we only had a baby at the time. So it wasn't as like the 7 kids we have now, where she was working much harder than I will ever work. So I would paint some, and then when I'd go off to work, she would paint the rest the same way I painted the first one. She said she liked doing that too. But it wasn't a very good painting job. It was okay at best, and yet it was enough for me to enter the tournaments. I'll never win a painting award, and I never wanted to be good at painting. You say, how do you get your miniatures painted now? I trade goods and services for others to do it for me. What was the most memorable thing or moment from the gathering of friends? Well, on Thursday, was it Thursday? No, it was Friday. On Friday, I left the gathering of friends, walked to Canada, looked at Niagara Falls, met my sister, who I have not talked to or seen in 10 years, and her children. And so that by far outweighed anything else I did, really. And then after that, I would say just walking around and looking at the falls. I did it twice, 3 times actually. Went and looked at the falls. That was amazing. And then there was our trip to Canada, where a bunch of us went up to Canada. Went to the Snakes and Lattes cafes, which were amazing. I went to both of them. They dropped us off at one, and I was like, I want to see the other one. So we walked to the other one. Then I walked back because I wanted to see both cafes. Got to play a game there, and they're amazing places. Then we went to a Blue Jays game. Blue Jays are my favorite team. So I got a Blue Jays hat. I was very pleased to get this hat here, a red Blue Jays hat. They had all kinds of weird Blue Jays. They had pink Blue Jays hats and yellow, any color you wanted. And then the Blue Jays beat the Yankees, which was fun. But the best part was just being with a bunch of other people, sitting here listening. I had the Trebucheks, Ignacy and Mary, were there, and I didn't know anything about baseball. So on one side is Mike Fitzgerald, who loves baseball explaining, and Gil Hova on the other side, who also loves baseball explaining. And I'm sitting there, and everyone's just talking, and we're laughing and razzing the Yankees, except Jason Levine, who liked the Yankees, so we're razzing Jason, and it was just an excellent experience all around. I also went with some folks up to a nice restaurant in Canada. We went to a nice restaurant in Buffalo. We all went to Duff's and got wings at one point. And you say, Tom, you're not mentioning the games much. Yeah, I'm not, because the games were fun, and we had a good time, and we ran a game show there, which was really fun. We tried a new game out, which wasn't perfect, but has some potential for the future. You'll definitely see this game show up at Dice Tower Con. And we tried a variant on another game show thing that we do, which you will also see show up in the future at Dice Tower Con and other game shows. We're getting our game show down. It's coming. I'm feeling pretty happy about our game shows. They're starting to come across pretty well. So that was good. But anyway, the gaming was great and fun, but the gaming is secondary to all the people I meet there and the things I do. And I love the game. I really do. Gaming is fun, but when you play thousands of games, some of them stand out above others, but gaming experiences. But going to see Niagara Falls, that's something it's in my mind right now. Riding the Maid of the Mist, which we did, which was amazing. That's amazing. I've never done that before in my life. I've definitely played 2-player worker placement games before, So, great time though. Super fun. Oh, and at the end of the gathering of friends, what they do at the end of the gathering of friends is they have a prize table. Some conventions do this. Usually, it has to be a smaller convention, so everyone brings in something for the prize table. And I was then what they do is the people who bring in the best prizes will get first picks. Also, people who win some of the tournaments over the course of the week will get first picks. And then after that, they pull people randomly. And so everyone goes around, and it's really funny. They're looking at all the games, and they're writing lists. Okay, I want this game, I want this game, oh, I want that game. And they're making different lists of the different games. And as time goes by, you know, when you're watching other people go up, they grab a game, you're like, okay, I can't get that game. So that for me was not a big deal. I looked at the thing. They had a Star Wars Queen's Gambit there, which I was like, I can take that and give it as a prize or something. There was a Hero Escape. I don't need more Hero Escape, but, you know, that was they had some painted stuff there. They had a painted XCOM, which I thought was pretty neat. And in fact, my name got called early, and I went up and I was like, okay, this stuff I had wanted was gone. No big deal. I don't need most games. I don't need more games. So I look at the non-game stuff. Debbie Owie, who is a children's book illustrator, had some pictures there. And that was my first pick. I love her drawings. And I was going to grab those, but those were gone. So I was like, all right, I'll take the painted XCOM. That would be a good gift to give to somebody. And then behind it, there was a little box that I forgot about where someone had painted little miniatures for Pandemic. The different little miniatures to take the place of the pawns in Pandemic. Didn't even hesitate. That was what I took. Very pleased about that. Prize tables are fun. This one was fun too. They had a big stacks of games that were not as good as maybe, you know, the single games. And, you know, every once in a while, Alan Moon would add more games to each stack. And it's like, oh, and every time someone would look at a stack, people would chant, stack, stack, stack. Someone would grab them and try to carry them all back to their seat. It was fun. It was fun. All right. Let's go back to the questions. How do you sort your collection on the shelves behind you? How they fit. That's really it. Let's see. There's a reason Z made the solo top 10 list, because I don't play board games solo. I am not backing any games on Kickstarter at the moment that I think of. Oh, I backed that Escape Room in a Box game, but I think that one's already done. Are you going to do more Tom vs. the Internet videos? I thought those were a blast, and I'm hoping for more. Certainly, that is in our plan. We have to fit things in. There's a certain number of things we have to get done each week. If you notice, Dice Towers has a constant stream of content, so those vs. the Internet videos, those lower on the totem pole, you will see more of them. I just can't promise when. Let's see. What's my favorite color? When I choose a color in a game is purple. Purple is always my number one choice. It's purple, black, white. Those are my three favorite colors to take. Purple, black, white, orange. Probably my four. I like the colors that aren't normally there. Least favorite color to be is brown. Then yellow and green, because that's Sam and Z, so I don't even bother. How did I become a fan of the Blue Jays? Basically, when I was a kid, I just picked them. I don't know. I didn't have a reason. I was like, I like the Blue Jays. I did. I don't remember when I did that. I know that's how I did it. I thought they had a cool logo and stuff. I picked them. I was trying to pick a different team. My dad was what was my dad a fan of? What is my dad a fan of? The Giants, maybe? He might be a Giants fan. My brother, though, is a Twins fan. Okay, so, and my other brother, I think he likes the Phillies, actually. I'm not sure, but we had these rivalries. My one brother, me especially, he liked the Twins. I was the Blue Jays. When the Blue Jays played the Twins, that was very gratifying for me. And then I lived in the Philadelphia area, so when the Blue Jays played the Philadelphia Phillies, that was fantastic. I like being different than everyone else, so I got a kick out of that. But I don't know anything about the team. I don't know the players and all that stuff, too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Q&A. We are now going to move over to the YouTube questions. So if you have something in the YouTube comments, again, realize I may not answer your question. Asking it multiple times does not increase the possibility of me answering your question. So, and I won't answer all the questions. So, well, I'll try to answer a lot of them. So as soon as you have a question, you can type it in the YouTube comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. really, what is anyone's reason for picking their favorite team, right? A lot of people just because it's their hometown. I picked the Dolphins as my favorite football team. Then I moved down here to Miami. Yay! But Dan Marino's been gone a long time, and that was why I picked the Dolphins back in the day. As a newcomer to board gaming, what convention should I keep an eye on? Well, unfortunately, things like I would say, oh, you should go to Dice Tower Con and BGG Con. Well, they're sold out. However, Origins is not sold out, so I would consider Origins. That's a great convention for a newbie. Or look for a small convention where you are located. There may be one around there that's very welcoming to new people. Will adding dice combat make Blood Rage and Kemet even better for you? I don't think so. I like them the way they are. Why haven't you spoken to your sister in 10 years? Okay, let me rephrase that. I have spoken to her. I just hadn't seen her in 10 years. As a family, we spread to the different corners of the globe. I was in Korea for a long time. She's up in Canada. My other sister's up in Oregon, and we all have families. She has 3 kids. I have 7. But I'll take the blame. It's my fault. So I was really glad to see her, and I would make an attempt to see her more often. There was nothing like no problems or fighting or anything. We just, should have done more. Will it be possible to see the trifecta of board game media creators, Tom, Rado, and Rodney, playing games live and doing top 10s together in the near future? To get them here at the same time. That's interesting, and that didn't even occur to me to bring Rodney and Rado in at the same time. That would have been interesting, right? That would have been fun. Hey, speaking of Rado, why do you do half Q&A and half in the YouTube thread? Well, I don't like asking questions in the YouTube thread as much because they shoot down to the bottom, and the thing shoots down to the bottom, and it can get very messy, so that's why I prefer Q&A where people can vote them up. It's great. The problem is Q&A does not work well on everyone's devices, and especially on mobile devices and such, so I do half in one and half in the other. I'm trying to please everybody, and of course, when you try to please everybody, what happens? You please no one. But it makes me happy. I know you're a big musical fan. Have you been enjoying Hamilton? I don't know what that is. I don't know anything about that. Hamilton musical, what is that? Oh, well, that sounds extremely interesting, but I didn't know anything about it at all. I'm feeling guilty. All right. Do you know, as much as I love musicals, I love Broadway. I've never been to one. Main reason? It's expensive. And I love, I guess we could do it now, my wife and I, because we can get Melody to watch the kids when we go, but they don't often come to Miami. But it would be a trip up to Miami to see them, but it would be fun. And I'm going to see a musical someday, Broadway. That's like one of my dreams. If I had like a bucket list, like, oh, I really want to see a show on Broadway or off Broadway. Doesn't have to be in New York. I've never seen one live. I've seen them, maybe small minor productions in places, but someday. All right. What is the best food you had in Canada? Well, that's a close call. We went to some little pub in the middle of nowhere, and I had shepherd's pie, which was amazing. And I also had, they made some kimchi there, which was great. So I liked that place a lot. And then we crossed the bridge into Canada, and there's all these little places there. We found this hamburger place called The Works, and their hamburgers were amazing. I got one with pineapple, cream cheese, banana peppers, and then inside the burger was infused with cheese. Oh, so good. And then poutine. Yes, I've had it. Yes, it's good. Yes, I don't understand why Americans don't do such things like that. There's cheese involved. Why would you not? But I liked the poutine, but I got one called jerk chicken poutine, which I liked even better. I really enjoyed that one. Have you answered why you're doing your videos outside now? No, I have not. It's pretty simple. I think I maybe answered this a few weeks ago. Everyone does it with the background here, with the games behind them. I wonder if I could do a live Q&A outside. I think that's possible. I might try that sometime. I'd have to drag all my wires down outside, but that'd be entertaining, maybe. But anyhow, I did it outside because I wanted to do something different. And it's fun, it's interesting and unique. I like doing it. The lighting's also very good outside. Why do you not wear your wedding ring? I just took it off briefly. Briefly, I mean like a month or so. If you've noticed, I've lost some weight, and my ring was way too small for my finger. It was cutting into my finger. So losing the weight, I finally, a couple weeks ago, was able to get the wedding ring off. Finally, after years of not being able to move it. So I'm letting my finger kind of rest for a while. It has nothing to do with my marriage, is quite strong. And I'm going to get the wedding ring resized so it fits my hand better. Although I'm kind of like hesitant on that because I like to lose some more weight, and maybe, so how am I going to get it resized? We'll have to wait and see. Did I try Adrenaline at the Gathering? No, but I saw it and it looks amazing. It looks like a game I really would like to play. Jason came with you to Canada. How does he get so much time off? I thought Americans only got 2 weeks a year. Well, many Americans only get 2 weeks a year. I don't know how Jason gets so much time off work. It's a mystery to all of us. I think he's like 40 days or something of time off. It's a lot. What happened to the, let's see. This is my first time going to Gen Con. What do you recommend I do and don't do? I recommend you stop by the Dice Tower booth and say hi to us. I would recommend that you don't schedule yourself up too much, really, right? You find what you want to do. Maybe if you're new to a convention, I recommend you schedule 1 event a day. Maybe 2, but then put 1 in the morning and 1 at night or something like that. So they're far apart so that you can go and do things and you're not like, oh, I got to be at this place at 3 o'clock. Oh, I got to get there in time to get there. You know, that will just stress you out and you'll have less fun if you super schedule yourself up. But at the same time, I would schedule maybe a couple things just because then you kind of have to have a focus. If you just go there and float around, you could have fun. That's what I like to do. But then you'll also be like, whoo, I wish I could have done that event. Well, you could have if you had signed up for it. That would be my biggest recommendations. What is the level of your affection for board games now compared to 5 years ago or 10 years ago? I like them more now than I did both those time frames. When reviewing a game, do you take an account of variants? I remember your old Dungeon Quest review. I don't think I've ever reviewed Dungeon Quest, have I? Oh yeah, Dungeon Quest, yes I have, sorry. Whose variant rules dealt with most of your complaints. But my job isn't to review everything that's written for a game or to review the variants. My job is to review the rules as written. So if those rules are written and it's not a fun game, and someone comes to me and says, but there's this rule on Board Game Geek that makes it better. Okay, that's great, but that's not my responsibility to go hunt down and find a thing that makes the game work. I might go back and try a game again with those variants sometimes. Like someone was just explaining to me a variant for some game. I forget what game it was. It was a game I said, it's okay with 2. And they were like, no, this game's amazing with 2. I have this cool variant to show you. And then they didn't show it to me. But I might do that maybe, especially if like someone I know personally really pushes it, but I can't guarantee it. Have you met the guys from Shut Up and Sit Down in person? I have briefly at Gen Cons last year and the year before. And I talked to Paul a little bit longer than that at BGG Con 1 year. But it wasn't, I haven't never really had any kind of extended conversation with them other than when we had them on the Dice Tower one time. Would you consider meeples of the Dice Tower for a stretch goal next year? Custom meeples, they would probably be super expensive. And I don't know if I want custom meeples of us. Like I said, I'm getting a little worn out with, I don't want us to be in every game. I would like our promos. I mean, for example, I'm excited about the promos that come out this year. And it's cool that we have a Sam and a Z promo for Rum and Bones and for Blood Rage. But that King of Tokyo monster is so amazing. I'm so happy with how it looks. It just looks so good, and it's not us. And it's, it's just kind of like a Dice Tower that's come to life and all. That's kind of cool because it's kind of like us, but it still fits in the theming of the game, and I really, really like that promo. Don't you find that storing games upright makes components and cards fall out of place? There's nothing for them to fall out of place with because either the plastic insert holds them in tightly, or it doesn't, in which case the plastic insert's not in there and I have everything rubber banded and or bagged. Do you plan to see Captain America Civil War opening weekend? Yeah, I do. Hi Tom, would you translate a game name to another language if the name makes no sense in a new language, or keep the original language? I would need a specific example on that. I would just change it to a name that made sense in the other language. I mean, if it's just a name, like New York, I would probably still call it New York if I was selling it in Germany. But if the name was by hook or by crook, I would find the appropriate German phrase or as similar of one that gave the same meaning and call it that. I mean, Ticket to Ride is called Zug Zug in German, and that's not Ticket to Ride. It means something different, but it works in Germany. That's what I would do. When you finish the Alphabet series, will you have someone crunch the data and compare it to your top 260? No, because it's not my top 260. It's not even close to my top 260, and it doesn't really matter because I might have 40 games that start with the letter C in my top 260. I don't even know because I don't keep track of my top 260, only in my top 100. But I mean, I'm just doing this for fun, but probably some letters wouldn't even be in there at all. I don't know of any off the top of my head, but there might be. Who knows? So no. Why not use Reddit for the questions? How would you use Reddit for questions? You mean start a forum? Start a thread on Reddit? Yeesh. I mean, I want friendly responses. Oh man, Reddit's mean. How's your new sound guy adapting to his new job? Well, hopefully well. Today was the first day that I've worked with him. We had so much fun today because, well, I'm not happy to see a store go out of business, but an Office Max in our area went out of business. Or they're going out of business, and I heard about it, and I was like, well, I was planning to buy stuff anyway. Went in there, there's 60% off, 70% off. I bought tablets and pens and markers and all sorts of things that we need for the Dice Tower. I got a clicker for the computer so I can do my game shows with a clicker. There's just so many neat things, and so I took them along with us, and we went and got all that stuff. Very, very pleased about that. I bought my supplies for the year. I like doing stuff like that, but that was his initiation to working with me. So. And yes, he did pick out the audio equipment. In fact, he came in and hooked up the mic I'm using now and said, this is the mic you should use when you're just using one mic with the camera. Oh. Okay, so that Bluetooth mic that you've seen us use, you probably won't see that. It will still be used occasionally, maybe with the other cameras, but with this camera, you'll now see this one being used. And I was, all right. So anyway, so he's much better at this stuff than me. What should I do if I haven't received the Kickstarter perks yet? You will be just like everybody else. Nobody has gotten the Kickstarter perks yet. I believe in the thing we said May was when they would be sent out, or June? I don't remember what it was. I think I said May. There's going to be a slight delay. And that is, I have done everything I could, but I do not have all the stuff yet from everybody. Most of it, I would say I have over half of it. And over 75% of it is in the mail right now, but there are a few key components that I'm still waiting on. Once I know exactly which components I have and don't have, I will make a formal update and tell everybody what's going on. You will get it as soon as possible. It will not be delayed that long, if at all. I just wanted to, that's where we're at. So I'm kind of waiting for that. But if you haven't got it yet, it's because no one else has either. But don't worry, that is something I work on all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, the Kickstarter thing is something I work on, but I also, our main job is to make videos. I'm not going to forget the Kickstarter stuff, but there's only so much I can do other than say, please send me these promos, company. And they're like, okay, we'll send them to you in a couple weeks. Okay, well, that's all I can do at that point in time other than wait for them to come. And I got boxes all over my house. There's boxes all that cool stuff of all these promos. They were getting them ready to go. In fact, I spent a conversation today with Cool Stuff talking about sending out the stuff, but we have to wait till we have everything. What's the last movie you rented digitally, and where did you rent it from? Amazon, iTunes, or YouTube? Definitely Amazon. Amazon just works really well with our TV. I watched a video with the kids. What video did we rent and watch? It was a fun, Goosebumps, which I was really happy with. You know, the Goosebumps books are cheesy books, and the movie was super cheesy, but it was family friendly, fun, a little scary, but not too much. Jumanji-ish, really. That's one I was really glad that we got to watch together. How did you find or discover Girls Game Shelf? It's a great addition to breakfast. Remember earlier when I talked about me not watching YouTube? I certainly do my best to keep an eye on anyone who's new come to YouTube, because I'm always interested in new voices. And when I saw them, I said, wow, that is amazing, and contacted them immediately. I just thought they had a great vibe, a cool thing, and something different. So that's why I contacted them. Does the zoo know you are broadcasting from there? Well, I don't really hide it. I just set up my video camera and do it. People always come up and ask me to take their pictures and stuff because I wear a collared shirt and a cowboy hat at the zoo. My daughter is an intern there, so I usually, when I take her up there, I've been recording there. It's been a lot of fun. I mentioned the zoo positively when I do record from there, so hopefully I would assume that they would be okay with that. I hope so. Did you see Twilight Struggle is now on Steam? Would you ever try that out? No, probably not. It may be on iOS now too. That I would consider. I'd consider an iOS version of Twilight Struggle, but I don't know how the computer would play it at all. You probably would only work against another player. Is there something going on between Z-Man Games and Asmodee? We finally got a copy of Mysterium here in Canada, but notice it has a Z-Man's logo on it. Nothing that I've heard of. I don't think anything is going on there. Sometimes you might have got Z-Man might have the rights to it in some countries, and that just happened to be the country that you got it from. Things like that happen, so I wouldn't read much into it. Is the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund limited to America? I don't believe it is. We sometimes are not able to help people in other countries because of different things, banking and so on, but it's not that I know of. Official variants. Okay, so this goes back to the question, you know, should you play a game? It's impossible sometimes to play a game with all the variants in a rule book. I try to play the game with no variants at all, right? Because that's the game people are going to play. If I notice that there's a variant in the rules or in the back that says do this, but like, oh, okay, that's good. I like it with that variant. And I'll try to point it out. But sometimes there's like 13 variants. I'm not trying them all out. I'm just not. And if, honestly, I've always been of the opinion that if a variant is better than, makes the game that much better, then it shouldn't be a variant. With the exception of maybe you cut it because it makes the game simpler for people who are new to think. But then I would say recommend it variant for expert players, because then I will always look at that. Do you think that ripping up of cards and using stickers is integral to the legacy craze, or is that more to do with personal investment and the legacy stuff isn't really different from a tech tree? Legacy isn't that much different from a tech tree, except with the tech trees, as far as I've ever seen from a tech tree, you can never, there's never like a negative thing. It's not like once you bypass this, you can no longer go back to that. Well, I guess no, that's not true. Like in Civilization, this made gunpowder makes barracks obsolete, right? Or no, I'm sorry, makes walls obsolete. It's more than just ripping up the cards, though, and stickering things. It gives you a personal investment in the game, and it also allows you to save games from time to time, and it also gives you that sense of no return. I don't think it's needed for a legacy game. At the same time, I would argue and say that I would not worry about the people who say they don't like it. By that I mean, Pandemic Legacy, there are people like, I can't believe you have to rip the cards up. There's no way I'm ever going to play it. They're not going to make any money on it. Well, they did. And it's #1 game on Board Game Geek. And so obviously this doesn't bother as many people as people think it bothers. Now, I actually like the Time Story slot too. You don't rip anything up in there, and that's kind of a legacy style game, and they have a way to save it and things. And so there's that too. I don't think it's there, but it's kind of cool. I love the fact that my Risk Legacy game looks different than everyone else's Risk Legacy game. I think that's really cool. I like the fact that my Pandemic Legacy playthrough is completely different than anyone else's. I must be really far behind questions because some people are complaining that I'm not answering questions. Did you steal this cup from Cece's Pizza? It does look like a cup from Cece's, doesn't it? No, I got this at Target. That's pretty funny though. I like to drink water. I drink a lot of water, and I like cups. I don't want to have to refill my cup all the time, so I like these big cups. I also like plastic because I break glass. So I buy plastic all the time for cups and dishes because I'm just goofy at dropping things. So it's hard to find them. Most of the time they look like those cheap plastic ones. Yeah, but the CC one is amazing. That's hilarious. All right. Have I played all the Time Stories expansion? I've not. I haven't played the newest one. I haven't gotten it yet. Once I get it, I'll be super excited to play it. Which one do I like the best so far? Prophecy of Dragons. I saw your interview with Scott, and it intrigued me that he switches his focus every so many years. If you could add something totally new to what you do right now, what would it be? Wait and see. It's coming. Any chance you could do a D&D set of dice for a promo? Probably not, and I'll tell you why. Because last year, we did custom 10-sided dice for the Dice Tower, and people were not interested in them at all. We got a few people who were like, ooh, that's neat. That's what I thought, like, ooh, that's neat. But 6-sided dice reign supreme. By far. So it seems like a lot of people highly value innovation in board games. Do you think there's value in doing a better job of something that's already been done? Or should designers just look for new mechanisms and combination of mechanisms? No, I think you should make a fun game. And if you're taking someone else's game and improving on it and taking mechanisms from other people, improving on them, I do not hold it against a designer to say, well, they're not very innovative. Well, I might say that if that seems like all they do is rip off other people. And some designers come pretty close to like just taking someone else's game and that's all they ever do. But to take something and streamline it and make it better, I think that's great, and I applaud designers that do that. That's why I've always been a big fan of especially strong developers, people who can take a good game and make it better. And you can see games as some time goes by. Many of the games that are on my shelves are like other games, but they took it and tweaked it and made it different. Thunderstone is not, I like it better than Dominion, but Dominion is a great game. And I like them both a lot, but Thunderstone took the idea of Dominion and changed it and added things to it, which then was changed with other deck builders. So now our deck builders don't look anything like Dominion. I want innovation in hobby. I don't want it to get stale, but I don't think a designer has to be innovative. Have I bought the new Star Wars Blu-ray yet? I have not, because I own like 3 Blu-rays, I think. I don't really have many Blu-rays. I'm tempted to get it because I found out that my BB-8 figure, that they've added a thing that when you watch it, he will move and do stuff with it. I thought that was pretty cool. I wonder if he would do it if I like rented it on Amazon or something and watched it. I'd have to look that up. Would you and your wife be open to lunch or dinner with a backer of the Dice Tower and their family if they came to town? It's possible. Always email me about stuff like that. Do some games need aftermarket inserts to make them playable with setup and takedown time? I don't think anything needs an insert. Some inserts are amazing and fantastic and wonderful, and you're like, wow. These are great, but I don't know that anything needs it. Has the new IT guy used the phrase, have you tried switching it off and on yet? No, because I always do that anyway. Well, here's the deal. We know Alphabet is in your top 10, 260. That's why I went to comparison. But I'm not going to actually rank my top 260. I'm going to only rank my top 100. So that's what you're going to have to compare. I apologize, but ranking the top 100 is a lot of work, and ranking the top 150 is even more, and it just snowballs from there. To do my top 260 would be a lot. Besides, I'm doing 270 games in Alphabet. What is that Monopoly game on your shelf behind Z? That's Tropical Tycoon Monopoly, which is a very good variant of Monopoly, and which I can barely play anymore because it comes with a DVD, and I have hardly any DVD players. I think I have one downstairs, so we could still play it on that one, but that's it. Did I back the new Coliseum reprint on Kickstarter? No, I don't. But that's not anything against it, even though I'm not a big fan of the art of the new game. But I also own it. But I just don't back many games on Kickstarter at all. With the Dice Tower growing year to year and the addition of personnel and tech, are you finding it increasingly challenging to manage the books? Does this come naturally or is it an added challenge? It is an added challenge. I'm pretty good with numbers and stuff, but yes, and I find that it's taking up more and more of my time. I'm becoming more and more administrative as time goes by. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. You got to do it. Is your son starting his dice collection by taking one of your large D20s? I noticed it's missing in the last 2 top 10s. Yeah, not sure where it is, actually. It may be him, it may be me. Did you combine all your D&D board games? I don't see them on your shelf. What? I know you can see one of them. It's in the video. Where is it? What side of me? It's right here, Legends of Drizzt and Wrath of Charlotte. I know you can see those two, and then Temple of Elemental Evil. And then I think there's 5 of them. I think I have the 5 in between the 3 boxes here. All right, I need to end this. Unfortunately, I got some other things I got to get done today. Got to go pick up the girls. They won their districts. I always get confused between districts and regionals. They will now play in regionals this coming week. We'll see how that does for them. Okay, let's see here. Have you eaten squirrel or venison? I've eaten venison, not squirrel. Not seeing any. Tom and I own the same number of Blu-rays. I just don't see the point of owning Blu-rays now when I can just rent a movie online or own it online. I don't need the physical stuff, and it takes up less space in my house. As you can see, my house has a lot of board games in it, so I don't really want Blu-rays. Also, kids scratch that stuff like going crazy. They cannot scratch it. I don't even buy video games anymore. I just download stuff on the Wii. And I like that better. Alrighty. Well, I think it's time to close. I'm not seeing any good question to end this on. I just want to end it on a good question. Come on, what's a good question? People are talking about double 6 dice, which are cool, but that's not a good question. I do really, yeah, double 6 dice are great. They're expensive to produce, though, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would be sticking them in all my games. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about what's coming out this week. This week is Board Game Blender. If you never watched Board Game Blender, certainly check that out on Thursday. That's Z's show that's coming out. Alphabet, I mentioned already. N and O will be coming out this week. Some reviews from me and Z and Sam and some other people, including a new reviewer I think you guys will enjoy coming out this week. And maybe some other stuff. We'll have to wait and see everything that's coming. We usually sit down on Tuesday and have a meeting about everything that's coming out over the course of the week. Our enhanced episodes of the Dice Tower are going to be coming back. That just became one thing on my plate too many, but one is being posted tonight, and we'll be catching up over the course of this week. They'll all be finished and done. Okay, let's see. Did I find... Well, no more good. Board game smoothie? No, that's not a good question. Oh, there. What will be the next up-and-coming board game country region after Germany, U.S., and Japan? I'm assuming you're also including in that the Czech and Polish publishers, because they are certainly up-and-coming, and France and Spain and Italy. So let's go out of Europe, out of Japan, and out of... U.S. Maybe Russia? Russia's starting to come along pretty well, and we're starting to see a lot of cool games come from them. Their games are more fiddly and more prone to problems, I think, from the companies in Russia, but a lot of that may just be translation issues. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, well, that seems like a way to end this. If you haven't seen Board Game Breakfast and Weekend Review, they went up today a little bit later than normal, but that's because I got back later last night to get them done. So lots of cool things will be showing up. I hope you guys stick around and watch them. Hopefully we get our audio and things going and cracking. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching Live Q&A, and this has been the Dice Tower. That was a bad switching of key. Switching of octave. What should I switch key?